Linda. Welcome to Lilybug's Library, or welcome back. I just have a little catch up to do today. Got a few books that have kind of fallen by the wayside that I thought I'd go over. So it was a busy morning, so I've got my coffee, my first one of the day. I had an early CAT scan and appointments, and so I wasn't allowed to eat or drink, so I'm trying to make up for it now. So the first book that we'll talk about is Mai Tais and Murder. It's the first in the Beach Cocktail series by Lydia Lane, and I received it from NetGalley and the publisher. So thank you for that. I was going to say producer. It's not a movie yet. Um, Although it'd be nice if we had more cozy movies. So this one was about a woman named Tessa Tidwell. Um, she's getting ready for her marriage, and she ends up. They're ready to have the rehearsal dinner, and her fiance comes to her and says, "No, I'm not feeling it. Can't do it." And so she had already booked the honeymoon at this resort and decided, to heck with it. I'm going to the resort anyway, gonna have a good time, try to get over this. So she gets there and she at the Golden Hibiscus Resort. And so first she has kind of the embarrassment of having to tell everyone that, like, no, Mr. is not coming, it's just me. There was no wedding. So she's kind of dealing with all of that. And then she's sitting by the pool. Oliver, sit down. She's sitting by the pool and she meets this woman named Sybil. Well, Sybil's a hoot. She's drinking all the time. She's drinking gin martinis, and she's trying to push them on Tessa at the same time. And she's been married 4 different times, so she has all kinds of advice about men and life and all of that. Um, so she turns into a bit of a friend for Tessa. And so Tessa has all these things planned because, again, she had purchased this whole thing as a honeymoon. So one of the things was for her to go on a sailing lesson. So she gets in the sailboat, and he's taking her out. But he looks over and he sees another sailboat, and he's thinking that that seems weird because no one else was scheduled to go out. Anyway, as they get closer, they find a body floating near the sailboat, and it turns out to be someone that Tessa had seen there already. Didn't know them well, but had seen them. So the rest of the book is her trying to solve the mystery of what happened to this person, and she tries to rope Sybil into helping her, and all kinds of things ensue. So it was really good. It was the police chief was a fun character too. He was he was a little grumpy and kind of irritated with Tessa looking around and trying to solve things, and oftentimes he would kind of dismiss anything she said, or else he would say, like, she would come up with some clue and he'd be like, yeah, but you didn't think about this and this, and we can't just arrest someone because you found out this. And so it was, I kind of liked the character. I thought he was a bit of a curmudgeon. I kind of thought he was pretty good. And let me see, what else did I want to tell you? Yes, it really did keep me guessing. So there was a lot of different characters, and a lot of times I thought I knew who it was that was the killer, and then something else would happen and it's like, oh no, okay, that's not the killer. And so right up to the end I didn't guess who it was, so I really like that as part of a cozy. So the fourth one is coming out this fall, probably quite soon. And I love the names of them. I mean, this one was Mai Tais and Murder, and then there's Dying for Daiquiris and Killer Colada, and the next one is going to be Martinis and Mayhem. So I don't know if Sybil has been in all the other books, but I kind of hope so, and if not, I kind of hope she's in that one because she was a really good character. So that was that one, and I would give it 5 stars. I thought it was really good. Looking forward to reading the rest in that series. And again, thank you to Netflix. Oh, goodness. Thank you to NetGalley for letting me read the book. And I'm going to put in to hopefully get to read the fourth one when it comes out as well. So a couple of other books that I actually have DNF'd. So I thought I'd mention them briefly just because of the fact that if you follow me on Goodreads or anything, you may see them pop up there, and I haven't done any sort of review on them. So one was, they were both ones that I was reading with Wonderful Husband. So the first one was, okay, not sure what happened there, but all of a sudden everything went blank, and so we'll just continue from here. So I was starting to talk about The Commandant's Daughter. So we started reading this, and we had high hopes for it. It has a really good premise. It starts out with this fairly small girl. I think she's like 9 or 10. And her father has, she had a decent relationship, but then he became involved with the Nazis and became an SS officer. And all of a sudden, he didn't seem to care about her or her mother or her grandmother. He kind of relegated them to second-class citizens, and it was all about the party. So this one night, just as things are kind of starting to happen, he is in a hotel with all these other people, and he tells her there's going to be a parade, but she is not to go outside onto the balcony until she's told to. So, being a young girl, of course, the adults continue to go on and on and on. So she sneaks out onto the balcony. So while she's out there kind of looking around and waiting for this parade to start, she sees a man out there, and she starts talking to him, and he's taking pictures, and that's what he's supposed to do. That's what he's been hired to do. So as they're talking, she kind of realizes, she's a pretty smart kid, and she kind of realizes that he's not real happy about being there. In the midst of all this, he gets her to look through the lens of his camera. So when she's first looking down at the people who are going to be part of this parade, she thinks like, oh, this is great. It's a parade, and there's lights, and there's, like all this, right? And then all this fanfare. So then she looks through his lens, and she kind of concentrates on the people's faces. And she realizes that some of them look very angry and some look very upset. And she realizes that things aren't always the way that they seem. So she ends up becoming a photographer. There's, a little more in there than that, but eventually she grows up, she becomes a photographer, and she starts taking pictures of what's actually going on. So her father, of course, tries to stop all this, but, eventually, like, she just, manages to find her way into different places and takes these pictures. So fast forward ahead, and the war is finished, and she starts to kind of get involved with other things that involve her taking pictures, and she's working with this police officer. And like I said, it seems like it would be a great book, and I so wanted it to be, but the problem is she never does anything with these pictures. She keeps saying she's going to, she keeps going over and over these things in her head, but she never actually does it. At least not up to where I read. And then the police officer that she kind of gets involved with, he's kind of got his own issues, and we go over and over those again. And so it just seemed like there were far too many things that we just kept going over way more than we needed to. And then she also is kind of underestimating her father and his reach. And so she just doesn't seem like the character that started out, like she started out very strong, but it just seems as it goes on that she just keeps ruminating on all this, but she's not really doing anything about it. And then the inspector, the police officer that she's dealing with, he he seems like a loose cannon, but not in an angry way. More just he can't seem to handle his emotions. So he goes to like interview people who were Nazis and things, and um, he's Jewish, and so he's not, I mean, understandably, but I mean, he's losing it with these people, right? And it's not going to help him in his job, and he's brand new, but he just really doesn't seem to be able to handle himself well. So I don't know. There was a lot of it that was just kind of a disappointment. Probably about halfway through, we stopped reading because it was just, like I said, they just kept going over the same things over and over, and I didn't feel like we were really making any progress. So we just kind of gave up, which is a shame. Like I said, it seemed like it would be good, but didn't do it for me. So left that one alone, DNF'd it. So the other one that we started reading, we haven't had much luck with these lately, was called Edge of Light, and it was by Jay Antani. And excuse me if I keep looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So it too sounded like it was going to be amazing. It had all the things that you want in a apocalyptic sort of thriller. So there were meteors falling to the ground. There were people who were devolving into these creatures. There was riots and fires and all this stuff going on. And it's three kids, high school age kids. And the one that is the main character is Dev, and Dev's father had worked for, I think it was maybe some part of the FBI or some organization like that, and had left, had disappeared a long time ago and was presumed to be dead. But Dev keeps having these nightmares about him and these dreams, and in the dreams he's up in the woods, and he keeps telling Dev to look in this box and check different things, and it just seems to be the same one over and over and over. Like sometimes they'll be slightly different, but it's pretty much the same dream. So Dev starts to think that maybe his father's still alive, and maybe he's up at this cabin that they used to go to when he was a kid, because that's what it looks like in the dream. So he tells his mother. His mother's a nurse. She's overworked, and she's really, she's trying to calm him down, but she really doesn't have a lot of time to even do that because she's so busy. And then when these meteors hit, people got hurt, and now there's all these people that are turning into these creatures, and they don't really know what's going on, or if it's some kind of virus. So she's got enough on her mind. So eventually he convinces her that he's gonna take the car and he's just gonna go up there, take a look, come back. It's gonna be quick. So she's not happy about it. They're supposed to continue to talk about it, but he ends up waiting for her to go to work, and then he just takes the car and goes. And meanwhile, he stops and he picks up his two friends, Connor and Abby, and he takes them with him. So it's them trying to get up to this place in the mountains where this cabin is. And like I said, it's got all the great premise of everything, but I think it was a little young for me. I couldn't really get into the characters. Their conversations, just everything about it just didn't really resonate with me. There was one point where they get involved with one of these creatures, and it starts to kind of attack and things, and I didn't even care. I didn't feel enough for the characters for it to make a difference to me, and it didn't seem to be getting any better. So we didn't even get up to the cabin before I gave up and decided to move on. So anyway, we DNF that one as well. So that was, one really great read, and then a couple that just didn't make the cut. So now Wonderful Husband and I are working on a new one. It's called The Priest Hunter. We'll see. It might last more than a day or two. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, I'm still working on my cozies, of course, for Cozy August. So hopefully those go well. I seem to be getting lots of hits with those, but not too much with anything else these days. All right, talk to you soon. Bye bye.